Hey everybody, this is Pastor Doug, and if I could just add to this past Sunday's message, Wise and Discerning from Hosea 14:9, a message that I really enjoyed putting together, really enjoyed bringing. If I could add to that today, just add a little bit to it. I think there's two or three ideas that I would add. One is a little story that I alluded to in the sermon. I couldn't help myself, kind of told half the story, but I want to tell you that story now because it is, in my mind, indelibly linked to Hosea, not particularly Hosea 14:9, but to the book. One of the key statements of the book, in my opinion, is when God speaks through Hosea to the people of Israel. He says, how can I make you like Admah? How can I make you like Zeboim? Now, what he's talking about there are two towns that he punished, that he destroyed, actually, along with Sodom and Gomorrah. There were 5 towns together: Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zoar. Lot asked to flee to Zoar, so Zoar was spared. The other 4 were destroyed, but we only tend to talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. So that verse is key to explain what I said. You know, Hosea teaches us that God is aggressive against sin, but also gracious to sinners. He doesn't want to have to do what he's going to have to do. So that verse is key to expressing God's personality to the themes of the book. It's a very important statement that's being made there. But there's also a little bit of trivia that he mentions these 2 other towns and expects people to know what they mean, whereas we today have largely forgot what they mean. For whatever reason, I remembered that verse from Bible college. Sometime in the early 2000s, before I was married, when I was in Crestline, used to go over to Mansfield, Ontario area where there was a Bible bookstore. Every year they would hold a pastor's breakfast. And the reason I went is that they would give us free books. I like to get into free books. Well, they also had a little trivia thing, and I had already won one of the first questions. They asked some question early on. I answered it. I won something. Can't tell you what it was. Would have been a book of some sort. Well, then they had the grand prize at the end, and it was, if I remember correctly, an archaeological study Bible, and I think it was $70. And I really didn't want that. I don't like study Bibles. If you like them, that's your thing. I just like the text. But I also like proving how smart I am, or at least how good my memory is. So they asked this question, what other towns were destroyed with Sodom and Gomorrah? And I waited. I gave the other pastors a chance. There's probably 50 pastors in the room. Nobody raised their hand. Nobody spoke up. They're looking around. Somebody answered. Finally, I put up my hand and I said, Admah, Zeboim, which I'm taking from that Hosea passage. That's how I knew that. And then I threw in Zoar, just to complete the quintet there. And I'll never forget that the lady said, she looked around at the other pastors. There was a lady that was running the contest. She said, well, is he right? And it's not just that they didn't know the names of those towns, but they didn't even know if that was correct once they heard it. And so, she said, yeah, he's right. She handed me the study guide. I handed it to my buddy right next to me because I didn't really want it. I just wanted, to answer the question. So not that great a sign of intelligence, just a sign of memorization, I suppose. I knew a bit of trivia from the Bible. So I always like that story. I've never had a chance to tell it, so there you go. A couple of other things that I would stress, though, would be the structure of the minor prophets. So we call them minor prophets just because they're shorter. The Hebrews call them the 12 because they were all 12 books put on one scroll. Now somebody has edited the placement. They're not in chronological order. They've put Hosea first. I think that's to give a larger narrative to those books with this story of God's love for us. But if you put them chronologically, in my opinion, there's some debate about this, but in my opinion, it would be Obadiah, Joel, Jonah. Those 3 actually form a little trilogy. I won't explain why. I don't have time to explain why today, but I would put those 3 first. Then you get Hosea, Amos, and Micah. And those 3 create a trilogy too, as do the next 3 and the next 3, which I believe are in chronological order in the book. But Hosea is expressing God's character. Amos is expressing the Israelites' character. And by the time you get to Micah, Micah's just saying this is going to happen. God is giving a judgment, and there will be no debate from this point on. So those 3 really go together, and you see an even larger story if you look at them that way. I think we're supposed to look at them that way, but you have to know know the chronological order to be able to look at them that way. Lastly, I would talk about, I said that in Hosea 14:9, he's talking directly to us, and I'm not sure if I put it this way or not, but here's how I would put it. Most of the Bible is either written in first person or in third person. It's either I, like Psalm 119 is written from first person. It's I, it's some man speaking to God. So it's really a conversation between that man and God. A lot of the books of the Bible are written as they, the books of history. They went and did this. The Gospels, Jesus went and he did this. It's third person. So we have first person and we have third person most of the time. When we get to that Hosea passage, though, we get second person, which is you. We get God saying, you become wise and discerning, become righteous, walk in my ways, learn this book, live this book. I'm talking directly to you. I hope that message blessed you, and I hope this little addition blessed you as well. So great to see you. Look forward to seeing you again next Sunday.